Okay. Let me know when you're set. Okay. I am going to call the Village Board of Oregon meeting to order for Monday, July 12th, 2021. Candy, can we have roll call?
Beshin,
Here.
Velo,
Here.
Balig,
Balig is here.
Glish,
Here?
Peterson,
Here.
Stitch,
Here.
and Wunsch.
Here.
Okay. So if nobody objects, I'm going to do a little rearranging so we can sort of deal with, I'm going to want to do 6A and B first, swearing in of our new officers. And then we'll go to 3B after that, and then we'll get back to the right order on the agenda, public appearances. All right, so Chief, swearing in and oath.
Yes. So we conducted a hiring process to hire 2 police officers. And as I've explained to many of you in the recent past, hiring has been a significant challenge with the heavy criticism towards law enforcement. A lot of people either A, don't want to remain in this profession, or B, they want to avoid coming into this profession. We at the Oregon Police Department will not drop our level of standard. We are going to continue to find the people that are right for this community and are of high moral, higher character, and very ethical. We've been very lucky in the last several years finding some really great candidates, and they're thriving at the Oregon Police Department and in this community. Again, tonight we were able to find 2 excellent candidates, and I'd like to introduce the first one. The first one I will talk about, then I'll bring them up and swear them in just to keep this with a nice flow. The first one here is Jackson Balig, no relation to Jerry. So he's not a troublemaker, Jerry.
I assume so. So he's not at all like me then.
No. So he was born in Madison, raised in Verona, and currently lives in Dane County. Before applying with us, he worked for the Capitol Police Department as a police officer, and he's been there since July of 2020. He went to high school in Verona and then college at Platteville and Milwaukee. What I found particularly interesting about Jackson was he's done 2 internships. We typically see maybe a candidate do 1, but he actually did 2, which I feel just shows his level of dedication to this profession. The 2 internships he did was one with Menominee Falls PD and the other with Wauwatosa PD. So I do think he will be an excellent fit for our department as well as our community. And on behalf of our entire police department, we look forward to working with him. So, if you want to step up, Jackson, which mic should I grab?
The mobile one, the handheld one, just snaps out of that. See? Test it, is it good? Here you go.
I'm going to have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jackson M. Balig.
I, Jackson M. Balig.
Actually, why don't we have a stand here so you're This is my first time at it. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply
that I will support and comply
with the Constitution of the United States of America,
with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Wisconsin,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Oregon,
and the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Oregon,
the rules and regulations of the Village of Oregon Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Oregon Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as a sworn police officer of the Oregon Police Department.
as a sworn police officer of the Oregon Police Department.
Excellent. I'll give this to you. All right, so these are badges. And there's a calendar.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. second gentleman here, I think some of you have actually already asked me. He looks awfully familiar over there. His name is Landon Thies. He, again, quickly excelled in our hiring process. He was born in Dubuque, Iowa, and was raised in Oregon. He attended Oregon High School, where he was in the band. He moved on to Madison College in criminal justice, and he was previously employed by JBM Security as a security officer. In the past, he has volunteered a lot of time to this community, including time with the Oregon Youth Center, the Oregon Youth soccer and basketball events, and he's even assisted us as a buyer with alcohol compliance checks, which is not a fun position, so for him to do it on his own time and not be paid in any way speaks to his commitment to not only this profession, but to this community and public safety in general. So, Landon, if you could please come up. So, just to add with Landon, so he is, I probably forgot the microphone. So to add, with Landon, he has not attended the police academy. We are going to invest in him. We're going to send him to the police academy. And as I told the police commission, the level of service he's already given to this community, that's somebody I want to invest in. So I'm going to have you raise your right hand. I, Landon Thies,
I, Landon Price,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Wisconsin,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Wisconsin,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Oregon,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the city of Oregon,
the rules and regulations of the Village of Oregon Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Village of Oregon Police Department,
and the law enforcement code of ethics,
and the law enforcement code of ethics,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as a sworn officer of the Oregon Police Department.
as a sworn officer of the Oregon Police Department.
All right, Chief, you want to do the presentation next?
Maynard, do you want to come up? No, you don't have to if you don't want to.
He should come up.
You certainly earned it. Come on up.
This is seat longer?
So I'd first like to thank the board for giving me the time to play this video. Maynard Stair has served on the police commission for so long we could not figure out how many years.
Steve Staten appointed me when he was first village president.
Yes, and he was president for a long time. I'm guessing, what, 20-ish years?
Something like that.
Yes. You know, I don't want to repeat what I say in the video. We wanted to give him this award, a well-deserved award, in front of his family, because what I know of this man, number one is his family. Number two is his community. What's always impressed me about Maynard is he has always given to this community and never asked for anything in return. And we wanted to make sure he was recognized for that.
Good.
Ready?
Great job, guys. Keep moving.
So Mayor, I asked everybody here, we wanted to recognize you first. I mean, I can't put into words the service you have given, not only to our police department, but to this community. We were trying to think of how long you've actually been on the police commission. I know I've been here 16 years, and I remember you hiring me.
I know that her husband had me the first time. And this,
I can't remember when that was.
I don't know, and how was it done?
Steve could probably tell you.
No.
He sends his
It's been a
congratulations.
fruitful experience.
I was thinking about everything you have done for us, individually and for this organization, for the
Yeah.
community. And I think back to all of us, we've all been hired by you. That means the world.
Yeah.
We worked so hard to get to this profession. And you saw something in each and every one of us
Well,
and helped us achieve what we really wanted to be. And that's good police officers. Not only did you bring us in, but you acted as a mentor,
yeah.
as a role model. I know Mayor not only as a retired copper and a police commission member and a community member, but I also know him as an excellent family member.
Yep.
Always, that's first and foremost, and our officers see that, and that's what they want to be like. That's what it is in them now. As far as not only as a commission member and as a friend to us, every single year you have identified someone within our agency and recognized them for the great work they do. And you give them a award. Even right now, as criticism is so heavy on law enforcement, you have continued to see the good that we do. And we take that very seriously and hold that dear to our hearts. I can't tell you how much that means to me as a chief. This is a very hard time to be a leader in this, and you've always been there for me. I've asked you a lot of questions about policing, about leadership. You've always been there for me. I want to say thank you. Every commission meeting that I've ever attended, you've been right there. And I talked with Rudy. Every single commission, you were there. Not a lot of people that serve on boards do that, but you have been that committed, not only to, again, policing, to us, to this community. And I can't thank you enough. And I'm going to give you an award, but it feels like it is so small in comparison to what you've given us. But I want to thank you for everything you've done. You are by far one of the best community members here I've ever met. And I want to thank you for it.
And a award of excellence, with great appreciation and deep gratitude for your outstanding contributions in serving on the Oregon Police Commission. Well, thank you. That'll go right on the top of the mantle. Right on the back and say, where did this time go? Where did this time go? So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We made a good choice, Ann.
In conclusion, I'd like to say it's been an honor and a privilege to provide service to our community for that many years. And I don't know when time has run, just like that. It's gone. So anyhow, I feel honored that I've been able to serve that long. And thank you for your recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, Chief, you going to take pictures now?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
go out there.
All right, I think we can go to 3B. And it's presentation and request from Cooper King for an Eagle Scout project to complete improvements and wayfinding kiosks at the Prairie Mound Cemetery. Yeah. No, we're coming back.
All right. Are we on? Dan, can you turn my mic on there? Check, check, check.
That's okay.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. All right. Like to introduce to the board Cooper King. Cooper King approached me a while back. Actually, it was probably right in the middle of COVID. As with all things, if things have kind of been elongated time-wise, but he approached me a while back and was working towards and is working towards his Eagle Scout project. And the Eagle Scout projects that we've done in the village have been very rewarding, not only for the young folks that have gone through that program, but they've also been rewarding for the village as well as even on my staff as we've partnered with them on some of these fun projects. Cooper is going to be talking about his project tonight, which is a project that we have established up at the Prairie Mound Cemetery. New board members may or may not know, but one of the tasks that we have as a village is owning and maintaining a cemetery that has over 6,700 grave sites in them. And so that's a big responsibility, and we take a lot of pride in how that is taken care of. But I'm going to turn it over to Cooper and let him kind of give a brief presentation. Invite you to ask any questions of him, obviously, and then I would ask for your endorsement of his project going forward. Let me get this up here for you, Cooper. All right, just let me know when you're ready to switch slides.
All right.
Nope, he'll turn it on, I think, here.
As was Ross said, my name is Cooper King. I'm currently a Life Scout in Troop 168 based out of St. John's. I will be a senior this year, enrolled at Oregon High School, and I've been with this troop and living here for over 5 years. Next slide, please. The project that I will be working on is building 3 message boards and installing them in the Prairie Mound Cemetery. These message boards will display a map of the cemetery and any other information the village deems necessary. The message boards that I will be building are kind of a hybrid between the top picture and the bottom picture. The bottom picture is going to be I'm going to be taking the box from that, and then the top picture is going to be taking the roof and the cuts from the posts, the post legs from the top. Next slide, please. As for the location of the message boards, they'll be at the blue X's. And so, just for reference, the bottom of the map down there is the road, those lines of the road, and then there's a small box, but it's larger than all the other boxes in the map, and that's the shed. We're going to put one right there because it's the main entrance, and it gives the person that were to go into the cemetery a landmark to find where they are and find where their weapons are. Then the one in the upper right is going to be for people who thought that their loved ones were in the church side of the cemetery and just kind of migrated left. And the one on the far end is for the newer section that's being built. Next slide, please. As for the budget, the total budget is going to come to around $1,170 for all 3 message boards and for installation. The original cost for all 3 boards without installation would have been over $3,000 if we were to just buy them without building them. And then as for paying for the cost, around a little over half the cost will be paid for, or about half the cost will be paid for by donations from family and friends, and then the other half, I'd like to ask the village for, which would be around $575. Any other village involvement would be use of the water vacuum with Mr. Ra's help. Next slide, please. As for the schedule is tentative. It's not set in stone. The only thing that is set in stone is the building of the boxes. I'll be taking a week with my grandfather to paint, to build the boxes. And then the work days are actually going to be, they might move around a bit depending on weather and scheduling and any other thing that could come, that could play a role in how the work days go. On on the last workday that the message boards are actually installed, I'll be turning over maintenance and upkeep to Mr. Round and his team. I would like to formally request a building permit and $575 funding for the project. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Yeah, we've had some really good projects with scouts up at the cemetery. One of the things that we have heard over the years is the need for some sort of wayfinding up there. You know, when you work in the cemetery, it kind of becomes second nature, but if you're just going up there, it can be a very ominous kind of task to trying to figure out where you are. And so part of what our commitment with the village will be is to work with Cooper on developing a map that kind of gives some waypoints up there, some markers, like, you know, McDonald's, where the white shed is, that type of thing. And this is kind of a step one in a project where eventually, with Candy's help and others, that we might actually have a booklet up there where people would be able to look up under by name, be able to find where relatives might be buried up there. But we have done this on other projects where we've helped them out with equipment. They don't run the equipment, obviously. My staff will go up. In this situation, we would use the vacuum truck. It's our large sewer jetter vacuum truck, and we can hydro excavate holes, just vertical holes, without virtually any disruption. So we would work with Cooper on exactly where those need to be and the spacing and everything. And that would allow them to be able to then set the structures, or set the wayfinding kiosks in a safe manner and everything like that.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
So Cooper, I'll just say, I think it's a terrific project, and I just want to thank you for thinking of doing it. I mean, I know personally, even when I go back home, I can never find my relatives, and this is a great thing to have for the cemetery. So, anybody else? Yeah, Amanda?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I didn't know if you wanted a motion or if you
Yes,
wanted to say something, but I'd be happy to make
Okay.
the motion to approve Cooper's request.
Okay. We have a second?
I'll second that.
Jerry?
And I have a question. Cooper, you mentioned that you need a building permit?
I think so, yes.
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
but we're just seeking approval from the
Okay,
board.
I was gonna
for-
add
yep.
that to the
No.
motion. Never mind.
Unless you're running plumbing and electricity to it. I didn't
No.
think you were doing that, yes.
Carlene, you wanted to say something?
I can second.
Oh, you want a second? Okay. All right.
Actually, I have Peterson and Follig.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Okay. All right, so we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Cooper, you're on your way. You got your money. Excellent.
All right, have a nice trip and fun building with your grandpa. And I don't know if you know, he's building them in Texas, correct? Georgia. I mean, that's pretty close. Not really, but it's exactly. And then they're driving them back up here. So it's kind of a neat project, even outside of our village limits here. So
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's go back up toward the beginning of the agenda. We'll go to number 3, which is public appearances, and we'll go to A, community input. This part of the agenda allows members of the public to provide information to the village board, including items on and off the agenda. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like 3 minutes to speak? All right? And if you could state your name and your address, we'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
For this opportunity. Mary Davidson, I live here in the Village of Oregon at 223 South Main Street. So, there's been a lot of discussion in the Observer the last number of weeks about less parking in our community, making plans for less parking, more walkability. My husband and I are big walkers. You maybe see us around. And I was like, when you're off, the officers always wave to us. We're walking around every morning. And we think that the walkability issue is a really good and worthwhile goal to have in this community. But it's come to our attention as we take the same route virtually every day, yes, we're little creatures of habit, there are numerous sidewalks that really need some attention. And it's not unusual for us to, even knowing where we're going, to trip as we're walking on these sidewalks. So, and that's, that's due some to age, that's due to tree roots get in there, the lateral lines from the sewers, all kinds of things can raise and lower some of the sidewalks. So I'd like to suggest if there's not a plan in place at this point for a systematic review of the sidewalks in our community and get a budget set for replacement for those that need replacing, that, and whatever standard you want. I know it's not gonna be a half inch. I know it's gonna be, greater than that. Whatever standard is established, we would be all for having the sidewalks in this community reviewed.
Okay, all right. Jeff, can I just ask, do we have any kind of review, or is it just sort of when someone calls and tells us that?
The village, the individual homeowners are responsible for the maintenance of the sidewalks, which include repairing and replacing sections. The only time that we don't do that is, or that the village does that, that's during kind of roadway reconstruction projects where we're doing a major project along the way. And we do address, when it's brought to our attention, we will notify the landowner that they need to do something with that sidewalk, and then we will follow through with that.
Okay. Amanda, look like you had a comment.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna ask what you meant by a half-inch standard.
Well,
what did you
generally, a
mean by that?
community has a standard, if it's up just a little bit, there's no need to replace that, but I know Madison has something.
Oh, how big the gap is, I
How big
got you.
that
Okay,
gap
that-
is.
the height difference.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
gap this way,
Right,
vertically.
it's the height
Okay,
difference.
thank you.
Right.
Jeff, do we have some sort of tolerance on that we follow as far as that goes before?
We go strictly on a complaint basis right now, and I'll hire my street superintendent or somebody will go out and take a look at them, and take a look and see if it's, sometimes a half inch in one spot is a lot better than sounds weird, but we'll just take a look at it and determine if it's something that we need to follow up with on the landowner.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Can I make a
Yeah,
comment? to
yeah.
what Jeff had said? So before our South Main Street section was replaced a few years ago, we had a couple trees there, you remember, and we had a couple sections of sidewalk that were determined that they really needed to be replaced.
Yeah.
And the village brought that to our attention. As far as I know, nobody complained, but there were numerous sidewalk sections in our area, the community, that were replaced, and we paid half.
Correct. That was a full sidewalk replacement, and
Okay.
that was an assessment at that time. The village policy has been, when we do a roadway reconstruction, we will assess the individual landowners based on the frontage they have half of the cost of the replacement of the.
This was before the roadway reconstruction. This was in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't here.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what your,
So Jeff, do they pay the full price then? If-
No, when we did South Main.
Right, I mean, but now, let's say there's no road construction and there's a sidewalk that's bad.
Then they're responsible
For the full price of
100% of the cost.
Okay,
correct.
that's what I was, yeah.
And they also contract that with a private contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, well then.
So, I do have a question then.
Yeah.
If there are sidewalks that are unsafe, it feels to me like it ought not to be something that's a choice about replacement.
It's not a choice once it's brought to our attention. So, I
Okay.
mean, we don't have individuals going around the village, doing a sidewalk assessment. Matt, I think we've talked about this before, haven't we?
Yeah, the sidewalks, there's a lot of complicated questions that we can get into, and there are different ways the village can choose to approach this, but my suggestion is, given that it's not on the agenda tonight, is that if this is something the board wants to delve into and explore, that we put it on a future agenda so you can really do that. But we're here just during public comments, so we can't really go too far
Right. Got it.
tonight in getting into the weeds on it.
We could put it on a Public Works agenda.
I was just gonna say that.
So Mary, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll bring it on the Public Works agenda and for
Okay.
discussion, and Matt can come and give us the pros and cons of all that.
Great, thank you. everyone.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody else? Public? Okay. All right, we'll go down to number 4, which is approval of the June 21st Village Board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Okay, from Mike and Amanda, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of vouchers, number 5. We have the amount of $748,901.14. If I can get a motion in a second, let's get it on the table. I'm sure there's going to be questions. Amanda? Motion? Second. All right, Derek? All right, questions?
I just have a couple, well, actually, I do have one question.
All right, Jerry, you
And,
ask.
The number 12,394, carrying equipment company, the equipment grapple bucket,
Yes,
that was something, what is that?
it is a grapple bucket. It is a. This.
Really?
Okay, this is something that actually we had on budget last year in our equipment budget. It's basically a large loader bucket, but it's a shorter bucket. It's got big claws on it that come down and allows us to grab large trees, brush, debris, that type of stuff. We use it when we do the tub grinding of the brush pile, and we use it for large brush pickup if we have certain situations in the village for that. And so it took a long time to come in because the company there actually ordered the wrong one in the first place. So we had to go second round with them, and they got it right.
Okay. Vendor 10,950 entrance systems, wastewater treatment plant, electric gate maintenance,
Yes.
pipe, or is it,
What's the number, Jerry?
10,950?
Okay.
Yep, the $667.
Yeah, what happened
That was,
there?
that was just maintenance work that we needed. We had some sensors go bad on the entrance gate, the automatic key gate that is the entrance to the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then, because we do have some new trustees there, I'll just go on to just explain that the attorney fees, Stafford and Rosenbaum, Rupert Milky, who is our village engineer, and Town and Country Engineering, those costs all generally get billed back to.
A large
developers.
portion of them do.
Is that right?
Not all of it. Whatever is a village charge, we pay for, but there's a majority of it that is a pass-through charge back to a developer.
Right, okay. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else? Questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. Candy, do you want to do a voice vote on that?
Stitch,
Yes.
Beschen,
Yes.
Wunsch,
Yes.
Glish,
Yes,
Valig,
Yes.
Belo,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
perfect. Okay, we're on to 6C, which is upcoming meetings and events, and Martin put a nice one-pager for us, so we know what's coming up. So, no action on that. 7, reports of village officers. 7A, village administrators report, again, in our packet, very detailed. Martin did a nice job of telling us everything, who he's been meeting with, what he's been up to. I don't know if you want to highlight anything, Martin?
I don't need to highlight anything in the report, but I do have an announcement to pass along.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So Elise Cruz had her baby yesterday, July 11th. Rosemary Violet was born at 1:11 p.m. yesterday, 22 inches, 7 pounds, 9 ounces. Mom and baby are happy and healthy.
Excellent, thank you.
Yay.
Should be here
Congratulations.
Yeah, so
You're
should be here next
watching.
week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. She'll be here tomorrow, right? All right, moving on to 7B, Village Department Head Staff or Consultant comments. I don't know if we have anything. I'll take that as a no. Village Board comments, 7C, anybody have anything? Yeah, Amanda?
Awesome fireworks.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to get out and see people, and so I don't know what part we played. I know the chamber played a part, so thank you to them. But that was just a nice kind of we're starting to come out of COVID event.
Yes.
Just wanted to say that.
Okay. I was gonna say this in the beginning of the meeting too. This is the first village board meeting since March 16th,
Of
2020. Long time. Jerry, look, you have to say
Yeah, I'm
something?
just gonna add to Amanda's comments on fireworks. I was watching public television over the weekend, and they were showing fireworks from various parts of the world, and they've developed now quiet fireworks, not so as not to scare little ones, animals, kill birds, anything like that. So I guess I was hoping Judy would be here so she could just seek out
I-
prices.
Can I say something about that?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they're quieter. They're not quiet. There's still like some decibels involved there, but just for the record, they're
On the video, you
quieter.
couldn't tell, so.
Yeah.
You gotta turn the
Just say,
volume
well,
up.
maybe we just do a little research and check them out, but you know, I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
Just relax.
All right, anybody else? Okay, let's go
Thanks,
to 8. Communication miscellaneous business. Items are for discussion, possible action. 8A is the 2020-2021 Senior Center Agreement, which is in our packet, information only. I don't know, Rachel, we'll see this in a couple weeks, won't we? Next week or whatever?
It's a week from Wednesday. I just wanted to give people an opportunity to read it in advance so that if they had questions, before talking about whether we should extend the agreement, it might be good to actually have a chance to look at the agreement. So if anybody's got any questions, I'd be happy to take them. If you want to send me an email or give me a call, or answer them tonight, sure.
Rachel, do you have anything you want to call our attention to in this?
I think that one of the parts of this agreement that is going to become progressively more important is on the bottom of page 5, which is 3C, which specifically excludes this agreement, or the members of this agreement, from including remodeling or construction costs of a new building. So this agreement simply deals with supporting services as they go on and doesn't come into play in a future building, so that regardless of what might happen down the road, our partners in this service agreement don't have to feel nervous about, you know, should we really sign this for a couple of years? What new building might be coming down the road? What might this compel us to get involved in? And then the answer is really nothing, so.
Okay, thank you.
So I actually had a question specifically about C, and you started to answer it. What was the rationale? I mean, how do you propose, is this meaning that we have no method whatsoever of getting our partners to help contribute to the cost of the building, or do you have other avenues up your sleeve?
This agreement was developed to support the services of the center, and it was never meant to solve all of the challenges involved with how we might finance a future building. And so we have that challenge ahead of us yet. There are a variety of different ways we might structure that with our partners. But in 2013, when this was created, I think it was 2013 if my memory is correct, we knew that that would be somewhere down the road, but it wasn't going to be part of the ongoing day-to-day business. And I think still it makes sense to keep those two things separate so that we can continue to provide the services that we provide, and then we can start talking about how do we move forward? How are we going to finance that? How are our partners going to work with us to make sure that that happens in an equitable manner?
Okay, that was my concern. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Rachel, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to 8B, which is reinstatement of trustee Luke Stitch appointments. First one is remove temporary appointments. There is a recommended motion to remove trustee Beechin from the park board and to remove me from the fire EMS district due to Luke coming back.
Yeah, thanks. I just publicly want to say I recuse myself from these two motions that are voted on. So.
Okay. All right, somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
All right, we'll take Amanda and Mike second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, confirm my nomination of trustee Stitch to the park board and the Oregon Fire EMS District Commission. Recommended is to approve. We get a motion in a second. Jerry and Derek, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. And then just no board action, but Charlene, you're going to have a little bit more time. We're going to take you off
Yeah.
take you off a couple things, and we're going to put Luke back on the public safety committee. So no board action there. And then 8C is I nominate Steve Hendrickson to the police commission to serve the remainder of the vacated position until 2023. May I want to make a motion? Jerry? Second? Amanda? Any discussion? I just want to say one thing I did do, I don't know if it's ever been done, but I actually had the candidates come in person and interview them in person, aside from their applications. I just thought that was a good thing to do. Martin was there with me, both good candidates, just that I felt that Steve Hendrickson had more experience, was a steward, union steward, had worked FBI and had lots of police experience. So, all right. So we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Down to D. Moving along. 2020 annual report from the Yahara Watershed Improvement Network. I don't know, Jeff. Do you want to say
I'll give
anything?
you, just give a little
Yeah.
little information on this. The Yahara WINS is the Yahara Watershed Improvement Network, and it is a program. In a nutshell, everyone is probably under the knowledge that one of the things that are affecting our waterways, our lakes, our rivers, and our streams is phosphorus, and phosphorus loading is a huge problem. And DNR is kind of tightening the requirements down on phosphorus, and that affects, of course, our wastewater treatment plant effluent. As a program, this affects everyone, including Madison Metropolitan Sanitary District, a lot of all the other communities and everything. And so about 10 years ago, they developed a plan called adaptive management. Basically what that means is participating entities such as the village, MMSD, other entities around Dane County, City of Madison, partnering together funds that they're committing to a program that actually starts to work with area farmers and other entities to reduce phosphorus loading on our streams and on our waterways. So instead of trying to take out, say, the minuscule amounts of phosphorus that are coming out in our wastewater, we're addressing it by trying to greatly reduce the amount of phosphorus that's coming off the farm fields. So that's where it gets kind of this, it's called nutrient trading is another term for it. But this adaptive management, in a way, allows us to work in a program like this and then hopefully avoid very expensive and costly upgrades to our wastewater treatment plant. Our calculated contribution to this right now is about $75,310 annually. And that may go up or come down a little bit in the next, in about, we're getting near the 5-year program after this next year. But we believe this is an important investment. The previous village boards have been very supportive of this. Our sanitary engineering consultant, Town and Country, is very supportive of us in doing this. And then this is just the annual report that we have in the packet. So I really do invite you to kind of go through, read the report. It kind of summarizes what has been done, number of pounds that have been removed, how we're working towards our goals. And it's just I think it's a very important program. It's actually a program that's received some national awards because of it's a very unusual program in the fact that we're trying to attack the problem at the source instead of trying to attack it on the far end of things. But, just so when you see a budget come through and you see a payment for $75,000, $80,000 and you say, well, what are we doing? What are we getting for this? That's really an investment in not having to make much more investments up at the wastewater treatment plant. So, any questions on that?
So how much of our phosphorus goes through our wastewater treatment? I know you're doing the reducing non-point pollution, but what do we got going?
I'd have to get you that answer. That's not a number I just
Okay.
have off the top of my head, yeah.
But it's small compared to what comes off the farm fields.
Yeah, the problem, farms are not as highly regulated as obviously wastewater treatment plants and other municipalities and discharges. For years, there were many farmers that just could put as much fertilizer on their fields as they wanted to, or some of the problem in our area is land application of manure, and then especially during frozen field time periods, then we get the spring runoff. All of that runs off, goes right into the creek and then into the lakes. And so what this program does is it'll work with farmers, and we've actually helped fund purchase of equipment for deep tilling, and it's called manure injection, deep tilling manure injection, where it actually comes along and injects it into the ground where it's not going to run off. So those are the kind of practices, and then things like what they call buffer strips, where it's harvested or not harvested or non-harvested buffer strips, 50, 75 feet wide before you get to a waterway. And so it helps as a filter for anything that is running off.
Yeah, it sounds like a great program.
It is a great program. And then, we support it. I'm actually on the executive committee for that as the treasurer, and that takes a little bit of my time periodically, but it's, I feel with the investment that we have, it's an important contribution that we have for that program.
Okay, Jeff, yeah, Matt.
If I could just add a little bit, Jeff, maybe you can help me if I'm off base on this, but my recollection is that kind of this program started after the DNR announced rules that would have required municipalities that operate wastewater treatment plants to hit certain phosphorus reduction targets.
Correct.
And the cost of hitting those levels of phosphorus reduction were very significant.
Yep.
And through this adaptive management approach, you can achieve better phosphorus reduction at a much lower cost than you could have through just spending the money on your wastewater treatment plant. So it is an innovative solution to that problem that, and I think that's probably 10 or 15 years in the making now that whole thing unfolded.
Yeah. We're in it probably says here in the first or second page, but we're in, I think, in the fifth year of the actual adaptive management program. It said it began in 2012 following a 4-year pilot effort. So, we're in the 5th full year of the initiative in 2021. Okay. It was a pilot program for a while, and then it took a long time to get all the members on board. There's almost 30 some odd members, I think, as part of this. It changes every once in a while. But
okay. All right,
Yeah,
Jeff, thank you.
Read through it, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to, at least if I don't know the answer, I will get back to you with the answer.
Okay. All right, let's go to 8E, which is Housing Urban Development HUD Outreach Initiative for Assistance to Delinquent Federal Housing Administration, FHA mortgage holders. That was in your packet too, informational only. Glad to see that available for folks who need that. We'll go to 8F, change of agent.
Before we move on, is there any way of publicizing this program beyond putting it just on our website? Is there a way to get that into the Oregon Observer or something as a little?
Yeah, we can talk
blurb?
to the Observer about it, absolutely.
And it will
Thank
also,
you.
it will also go out through our email notification system as well.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
All right. So, one procedure thing I'd like to ask, when people want to speak, just get my attention instead of people just blurting out. I would appreciate that. All right, so we're on to 8F, which is change of agent for Quick Trip, number 731, 135 North Main Street. Staff recommendation is to motion to approve the change of agent to Bailey Kelleris at Quick Trip 731. So we want to make that motion. Amanda? Derek? Okay, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. 8G, hiring of Jill Wooden to fill the senior center administrative position at a pay rate of $18. Staff recommendation is motion to approve, and I think Rachel has brought this maybe last meeting, I think, to us, letting us know this was coming. So if somebody want to make a motion, we'll take a second. Derek?
I move.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Or, I'm sorry, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
8H, announcing retirement Public Works mechanic Terry Wendt, and to request authorize the advertisement and seek applications for the Public Works mechanic position. Staff recommendation is to authorize Public Works to advertise and seek applicants. Jeff, straightforward?
Yeah, really straightforward.
Okay.
Well, once you make that, I just want to say
All right.
something about Terry and.
We'll take a motion in a second. All right, Luke and Derek, very good. All right, discussion, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to recognize Terry. Terry Wendt is obviously, he started with us in July of 1998, has been with us, has been instrumental in helping, I believe he was the union representative for our crews for many years. Terry, if you've not had an opportunity to walk the Public Works area, I would be happy to take you on a tour any day just to show you the sheer volume of equipment that we have to operate with. But as you know, you have 5 cars in the driveway. There's always something wrong with one of them, right? And so, we've got about 1,000 cars in the driveway, and Terry is just exceptional with being able to keep things running, keep things safe, and keep things operating. So I just really do want to thank Terry for his 20-plus years with us with the village. And then as we look for the next person in this, we'll be looking for another mechanic, that can help keep our equipment running well.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. 8I, purchase of 2021 International CB15 SFA flatbed truck from Lakeside International in the amount of $71,559, and declare truck number 8 as surplus. Jeff, is that the one I saw in the parking lot already? No, I'm just kidding. Staff recommendation is to authorize Public Works to procure the 2021 International and for the amount of $71,559, and to declare truck 8 as surplus, and authorize Public Works to auction this vehicle on the public auction site. So, looking for a motion in a second for this?
I move.
All right, Carleen, thank you. Jerry, so your hand, very good. Any discussion on this? It's not in the parking lot, is it?
No. This is waiting for approval from the village board. It might be earmarked on the lot.
It might be here tomorrow, right?
Well, I will say this, is one thing that we're finding in a lot of things, supply chains are very affected on everything, on pipe, on everything, but they're also very effective in vehicles and equipment. And so we've been kind of having our eye on this, and they've been willing to hold this for a time that we would be able to seek approval on this. But no, we haven't purchased it, but
I'm just kidding.
you'll notice even Dodge wouldn't even give us a quote because they just can't do municipal discounts now due to such short demand or short supply of vehicles.
Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, now 9 is reports of committees. First, 9A is Personnel, Public Safety, Protection Committee. I is Operators License Applications. Jerry, do you want to take this? You're the chair.
I'll take it, yep.
Okay.
We dealt with two things that night. The first thing was the issuance of new licenses and permits. And the second was the, what was it? Oh, the operator's license applications. So two motions came out of that committee meeting. The first one was to direct staff to notify Mr. Tyler Johnson of village refusal to renew license and to follow procedure under Wisconsin statute 125.12.
So Jerry, that's your motion?
That's the motion.
Okay, somebody want a second?
Second.
Okay, Carleen, thank you. Any discussion?
No.
And actually, Jerry, I'll just say that when Luke and I were on this, when I was on there with Luke, we had a conversation with Tyler, and at that time too, we denied his application.
Okay.
So, first
Very
time. Yeah, Mike.
Raise my hand.
Well, very good. I gotta keep in order here. Perfect. You're falling in line.
I'm doing my best.
You're doing good.
Okay. Can I ask what the difference was? I noticed a number of people had underreported in things in their applications. Why is Tyler different than the ones that you're running through? What was the criteria?
If you look in, well, the packet here, there's a memo from Sergeant Niehaus, and it lists the convictions that he's had. To be very brief, I'll just say he had several convictions and that we could not overlook.
Okay, because I just seen other convictions that we did overlook. That's why I was wondering.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
There was a pattern that was not in some of the others. There were convictions, like there were convictions, but they were 5 years old and they were not repeated. And that was not the case.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. And
So, Jerry, let's vote on that one.
Let's vote on that
Okay, so we
motion.
got a motion and a second. All in favor, say.
Raymond.
Oh, yeah, Matt.
So I just want to make sure everyone understands, so the recommendation and the motion, as I understand it, would be not that the board would be denying the approval of the license tonight, but rather you'll be scheduling this for a hearing at which the question of whether to renew or the question of non-renewal of the license will have to be resolved. So just so you understand, this fellow currently holds a license. He's applied for renewal. His license can only be non-renewed, or the board can only choose to not renew the license if he's given notice that that's your intention, and he's given a hearing where he has an opportunity to be heard. At that hearing, it'll be necessary for there to be, evidence essentially presented to the board about the reasons for potential denial or non-denial. That information will presumably come from the police department's background investigation. We'll have to talk about how to do that exactly. Mr. Johnson, I think is his name, will have an opportunity to respond to that, and then you'll have to make a decision. So I just want to make sure you understand procedurally it's a little complicated because he currently already holds a license. If he didn't already hold a license, this would just be a motion to deny, and there wouldn't be a need to go through this hearing process.
Yeah, Amanda.
I just want to clarify, the hearing would be for the full board. It wouldn't be the personnel committee again. It's a full board.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Randy, just
Chief.
to add,
Yeah.
another part of the conversation, to add on to what Carleen said, was with Mr. Johnson, the offense, not only was there a pattern, but the latest offense was a conviction for an alcohol-related crime. And so we talked about that as well.
Yeah.
at the-
Yeah, yep, we did. I know when Luke and I were on there, and that's, we looked at that very seriously. Was it alcohol-related offenses? Okay. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then, Jerry, you want to
Yes,
take the second piece?
The second item we dealt with that night was the other listed applicants. And the motion that was brought forward at that time was to approve Evangeline Edmonds, Victoria Drews, and Shanice Varela, to approve the operator's license for those people.
Okay, Jerry, is that a motion?
That's the motion.
Okay, so we want a second?
A second.
Amanda? Doesn't matter, Carleen, I don't know.
I'm easier in your line of sight
Yeah.
sometimes, so I don't want to steal all the motions.
Let's give it to
Oh, that's
Carleen this
okay.
time. We'll give it to Carleen. All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then the last piece, 9.2 is the alcohol license compliance check. This has been on our radar ever since before COVID, and because of COVID, we didn't do anything. But no action is required. But I think at some point we'll want to sort of take this up, because this has been a concern of trustees in the past, so. All right, let's go to 9B. We'll do some planning commission items. Ordinance number 21-07, ordinance providing direct annexation of a portion of the town of Oregon to the village of Oregon. The parcel number, you see the parcel. Current address, 5264 County Highway C. So we have to do two things here. Staff recommendation is a motion to suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings of the ordinance. So that's a first motion, if we want to take care of that. And then we'll do a motion to approve the ordinance as presented. So we're looking for a motion to suspend the rules and waive the first and second. And Amanda is making that a motion. And a second? Derek? Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll take a motion to approve the ordinance as presented in our packet. Take a motion in a second.
So moved.
All right, Carleen, thanks. Second?
I'll second.
You are on my site. That's, yes. it's
Sorry.
gonna be-
I'll take
Amanda,
it.
second?
I'm trying to
Okay.
give other people
I know.
opportunity here to jump in. but-
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the ordinance as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, B2, resolution number 2122, resolution to discontinue, I never say this right, Lindell's Street in the Village of Oregon. Staff recommendation is to approve the resolution as presented in our packet. We'll take a motion in a second. All right, Derek first. Mike, thank you. Any discussion on this one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. 9B3, ordinance number 2110, ordinance adopting a zoning map amendment for Highlands of Netherwood LLC to rezone a portion of 10 parcels of the Highlands of Netherwood development. Plan Commission and staff recommendation, again, two motions. First motion is to suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings of the ordinance. And then the second one will be to approve the ordinance as presented. So our first one is to, looking for a motion to suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings of the ordinance. Amanda? Okay, second. Derek? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we would need a motion to approve the ordinance as presented in our packet. Derek? Carleen? Very good. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. All right, we're down to B4, resolution 2133, resolution conditionally approving the final replat of Highlands of Netherwood. Plan Commission staff recommendation is to approve the resolution as presented, subject to the planner's recommendations. So I'm looking for a motion and a second on this. This was in our packet as well. All right, Luke, second? All right, Derek, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. On to 9B5, First Amendment to amended and restated master development agreement. Highlands of Netherwood, staff recommendation is to approve as presented. Again, it's in our packet. So I'm looking for a motion in a second.
Move.
All
I'll
right.
second.
All right, Carleen and Amanda, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Boom, we're moving right along. 6, agreement for land division improvements for Highlands of Netherwood, Phase 3. Staff recommendation is to approve as presented. Again, it's in our packet. Looking for a motion in a second. Luke and Derek, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 7, ordinance number 2108, ordinance changing the zoning classification property located at 5264 County Highway CC from single-family residential to planned development district, Highlands of Netherwood. also called the Flats. Plan Commission staff recommendation, again, we're gonna do two motions. First one is suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings of the ordinance, and then we'll approve the ordinance. So, first motion is to waive the first and second readings.
So moved.
All right.
I'll second.
All right, Carleen and Amanda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then we're gonna take a motion to approve ordinance as presented with planners' recommended conditions on this one. Looking for a motion in a second. All right, Luke and Carleen, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, we're on to 8. Specific implementation plan, SIP, submitted by Highlands of Netherwood LLC for 2052-64 County Highway CC, formerly known as the Tarkington parcel, or now it's called the Flats. Plan Commission and staff recommendation motion to approve as presented with planners' recommended conditions. All right, Amanda and Derek, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Down to 10. Yeah. Do I have that right?
9.
No, I'm sorry, 9, see? So many. Ordinance number 2109, ordinance amending general development plan for Lot 34 of Highlands of Netherwood in the Planned Development District, Highlands of Netherwood, the Villas. Plan Commission staff recommendation, motion to suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings of the ordinance, and then we'll do another one. So, looking for a motion to suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings of the ordinance. All right, Luke, Jerry? Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, then we're looking for a motion to approve ordinance as presented with planners' recommended conditions. Derek? Mike, did you, I saw a finger.
That was it.
All right, that was it. All right, excellent.
I'm
That
seeing how
works.
much I have to raise for
That
you to
works.
actually.
That
know.
works. I got it. I saw you. All right, any discussion on this one? Now, yeah, we're on the first part. See, I'm getting confused myself. The first part, to suspend the rules? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
We're on the,
No,
we're in the
we're on the
second.
approval.
Oh, we're on the approval, see?
Okay.
See? You threw me
I
a
distracted you.
Yeah, you did. You did that
It's all your
purposely.
fault, Mike.
All right, so, approve the ordinance as presented. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay. All right. So we're on to 11? 10. See, I'm not, Mike, you really threw me off. Threw me a curveball. All right, specific implementation plan, SIP revision, submitted by Highlands of Netherwood LLC for Lot 34, Highlands of Netherwood formerly known as Lot 41, the Villas. Plan Commission staff recommendation, motion is to approve as presented with planners' recommended conditions. So we'll take a motion in a second. All right, Derek, Carleen, thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we're on 11. Ordinance number 2111. Ordinance to adopt amendments to the Village Comprehensive Plan, amending future land use map categories for 101 and 153 Alpine Parkway and southeast and southwest corner of Bergamot Boulevard and Jefferson Street and 650 North Main Street. Plan Commission staff recommendation motion to approve as presented. If you guys remember, this came up with our joint meeting with Plan Commission. What?
We have, we
Oh.
missed the first motion to suspend the rules on this one, so.
Oh, you want
'cause
us
it's
to
an
do
ordinance.
that?
Yep.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion and a second to suspend the first and second reading on this one first. All right, Luke? Derek? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we recommend a motion to approve as presented. Derek and Mike? Any discussion?
Yeah, I just got
Go
a
ahead,
question.
Derek.
Did they get that sliver of land included?
Yeah,
in it?
good question. Yeah,
Yes.
I asked about it too, yeah.
Yep.
Matt
Yes.
and Martin, we got it in there.
It was
Right.
included and Matt signed
Yeah,
off on
we
it,
got
yep.
Yeah, that's a good question. I caught that too. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're on to 12, resolution number 2137, annexation agreement between Glenn and Michelle Hoffer Living Trust and the Village of Oregon. Staff recommendation is to approve as presented. Mike?
Where
Wait,
exact?
wait. Oh, wait, I'm looking for a motion, Mike.
Oh,
Let's get a
so
motion in a
moved.
second, then you can, all right. So who gave me a first? All right, Luke and Derek? Okay, now,
So where exactly is this location? Because all I see is a square block, huh?
It's right next to my house. Mine's
Oh.
the last one there.
So down the hill from you
Yeah.
to
Down
the
that hill.
east?
I'll pull it
Okay.
up here so I can get my map to wake up. It's right here. You'll see.
there it is.
It's much clearer.
Yeah, the viewing audience doesn't necessarily know where you live.
True.
You know.
By Autumn Ridge, that area,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the rough location, I'm just wondering which lot we're talking about.
It's not pulling it up, Mike, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's off of Foxfield.
Okay.
Kind of just, Foxfield is if you're headed down, you're headed out County Highway MM, you just passed the new intersection at Foxfield. It's directly on your right.
Okay.
Before you get to the
South
next
Foxfield,
country homes there.
Between,
Yeah.
and the hill where I live.
Got
all
it.
right, anybody else, anything else? All right, we got a motion.
I'd still love for them to put the park on my side and the house down the hill, but
All right. All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, 13, ordinance number 2112, ordinance providing direct annexation of portion of the town of Oregon to the town of Village of Oregon. First addition to Autumn Ridge subdivision. Plan Commission staff recommendation, again, we gotta do two motion, we'll take a motion first to suspend the rules and waive the first and second readings of the ordinance. Let's take care of that first. Jerry and Amanda, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so let's have a motion then to approve the ordinance as presented with the planner's recommended conditions. Okay, Amanda and Derek, any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, we're on to 10, moving along here, unfinished business, village board.
Randy, I have one thing real quick
Oh.
to throw in here. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see if we can get this in here.
Yeah.
It would be remiss if after all of that.
Yeah.
After all of that discussion on planning and commission, there's what, Rosemary Violet?
Rosemary Violet.
Rosemary Violet, Elise, and Lincoln Cruz. So
Awesome.
wish them well. Isn't that a cutie?
Cutie.
All right.
Future
So now
Yeah.
Elise-
Yeah.
A future planner?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, you know what? It's late, like 2 weeks, so that's perfect.
All right, let's go to 10, we're on unfinished business. A is village board public comment policies, staff recommendation, motion to approve as presented. Jerry's first, Amanda second, discussion. All right, we're good?
I
All
have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
So
go ahead.
at this point, this applies just to this meeting, correct? Because we talked about committees are different than just this meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Wanted to confirm that.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay, oh, wow, we're almost there. B is the hybrid, in person, remote village policy, meeting policy. Martin, what do you want us to do on that? I know, Matt gave us some information in our packet.
I can summarize for you
Yeah,
kind of what the
yeah,
highlights are.
yeah.
So, the Village of Oregon, like all of the other communities around the state that I'm working with, are, now in a transition process, deciding after having experienced virtual meetings for the last year with the pandemic, whether to allow some form of virtual attendance on a going forward basis now that we're kind of resuming in-person meetings. So from a legal standpoint, the Village of Oregon has adopted Robert's Rules of Order, which provides that in-person attendance is required unless the community has, you know, specifically adopted bylaws or policies that allow for virtual attendance. And so the first question for this board to consider is, you know, what your policy should be going forward. Again, historically and under Robert's rules, if you want to account for quorum purposes, if you want to attend as a village trustee, you need to be here in person. Do you want to change that policy going forward to give trustees the option, either just carte blanche option or upon request option to attend meetings virtually? The second question is more of a technical question. Assuming, you know, you like to allow for virtual participation, how do you manage that both from a technology standpoint and then from a rules standpoint? There are a number of rules that I'm seeing are being recommended for communities that want to allow virtual participation on an ongoing basis. Rules relating to how a quorum is determined, voting, the technology itself, under what circumstances can someone be disconnected, how do you seek recognition? So to your point, raise your hand, for example. And I believe I included an example of some of the rules that, that make sense to consider. So those are the issues. I'm not in a position to speak to, really, from a technology standpoint, what the village would need to facilitate in virtual or a hybrid, a mix of in-person and hybrid. That's going to have to be addressed by someone else.
I think actually, Martin, you want to talk about it because you mentioned that and sort of give us a recommendation.
Yep. Yeah, I talked to OCA Media a little bit about interfacing everything that we have in here currently, and then enabling a hybrid meeting, a virtual meeting that would allow participation, not just observation. And their comment to me was that it would be challenging to do so with the current equipment. We would likely have to purchase some kind of equipment, have some kind of technician work come in and work on interfacing all different systems. I know that the village board tried to do it remotely during the village administrator search. There was some audio issues during that, and then it was kind of abandoned midway through the day. So OCA had suggested to me that they may be able to help, but they also recommended maybe a better idea to bring in an audio video technology company like Omni Technologies to assess the situation in here and then give us some recommendations on how to bring all those things together and do what we want to do. The other piece of this, as I mentioned in my memo, is we're going to be moving in 9-ish months. So, you know, the question to the board is, do we want to spend some time and money outfitting this room, making this work now, or do we want to maybe pause that and say, we're going to do this when we move to the new village hall, and we're going to get the equipment that we need for that space. So yeah, there's obviously the legal and logistical considerations of running the meeting, but obviously the technology as well.
Okay. Martin, and Matt, can we talk about it? Okay, all right. Folks, let's go Amanda and then Mike and then Jerry.
So I'm on the OCA Media
Yeah.
Board, and just one of the things that Paul and I have talked about, because we've kind of batted around the idea a little bit of what this would look like. Whatever equipment that purchase, if we wanted to do this now, Paul is committed to buying equipment that would move, you know, translate easily to the new facility. So we do have to keep that in mind, but it is possible if we decided to upgrade now, we can still use that same equipment. It wouldn't be wasted money and time. I just wanted to put that out there.
Amanda, any idea how expensive it would be? Or maybe you guys didn't get into that, didn't know?
No, probably not, because I just know that, like, pretty much Dan back there's the only one who can run these meetings.
Yeah.
It's just, the equipment is very, very old. It is long overdue for an update. So if we wanted to invest in that, whatever it is, even if it's, you know, within, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, I don't know what it would cost, but in my eyes, it's a good investment, because it's long overdue. And if it allows people to be remote in meetings sooner rather than later, I see that as a good thing.
Okay. Jerry, and then Mike.
Sure. I think that we should wait. I just, you know, I know OCA media indicates that they can do it now, but you don't know what you're gonna run into when you get to a new building and how much that'll adapt to that new structure there. So I'd rather wait and then get some solid bids when we can have people actually look at where it's gonna go. And then we can put it in the budget and actually, you know, have it be part of the budget process. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, Mike, you're up.
I kind of agree with Jerry on this. I'm 100% in favor of hybrid meetings, but I think we should design it for the space that we're moving into rather than the space we're moving out of.
Yeah, Carleen?
So I brought this up initially because I'm going to be gone, and so I appreciate that it's being considered at all. And I have to agree that it's something that I think that we need to have the capability of doing long-term, but I can see that it doesn't necessarily, unless we knew exactly what we were going to need in the new space and could foresee that what we would buy for here would actually be what we need for there, I could see doing it now. But if we don't know that, I think, you know, it's the kind of insurance I would want in order to spend that kind of money.
Yeah. Can I ask the trustees, I mean, how many people typically from us would be here in person? I know I would be.
Brandon, you're talking the trustees?
Trustees.
And staff?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just curious, how many people, and I know that, you know, when some people have conferences and stuff, it's nice that they can tap in and still be part of the meeting. But I'm just curious, in terms of us here and staff, how many people would typically be in person? I know I would be.
I prefer in person.
I would typically be in person, but I
Yeah.
also know I'm going to be
But-
gone for 7 weeks.
But there
so,
is
you know.
those situations. Luke,
Yeah.
how about you? In person or?
In person. I
Okay.
can deal with
Yeah,
it.
Mike, what about you?
I would be as much as possible
Yeah,
in person,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And Derek, how about you?
Yeah, I'd definitely go in person, but the thing with a hybrid meeting is I do like the thought of increased community input
Yeah,
during that.
I think that's a plus. I mean, from my perspective, I want to see, would like to see how much it's going to cost us. And I think I agree with the rest of you too, I think it sort of makes sense. Why don't we wait until we're in the new space? We don't know what the wiring or whatever, you know, what we need to make it work. But I do like, as Derek said, I do like the idea that increased community participation, if that helps, that's good. Okay, Amanda and then Mike.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, aren't we gonna be able to have access to the building in September? Or what's the date again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll just let you know, we're working on that. Yes, we have access to the building in September. We'll be bringing before you probably in the next month and a half, a proposal from an architectural firm that will head up the construction documents to make the necessary improvements and changes to the building. So we anticipate a construction window of probably October, November, December, January, with the hope that we would be able to move in early spring of 2022. But yes, we have access to the building, and the place where the boardroom it will be located, or where we have it kind of fleshed out right now, is pretty much an open space. So we have plenty of opportunity to work with it. I will say this, and I to echo what Jerry says, and I've talked to a few entities that kind of supply this information. It's very important that you kind of build the system. Don't let the system build you. You know, don't buy a single component and have them, that you're forced to go down that route because of what you have. What we want to do is be able to have flexibility that it's relatively easy to use, so that we can have it for all of our committee meetings and everything like that. It has to be expandable so that we could, if we had a very large meeting, we'd be able to actually even send it to the community room portion of the building, so we had overflow seating. We want to be able to allow public input easily and effectively. So there's a lot of things that have to come together, but those are the things we're working on. But to answer your question, September 30th, we do allowed to go in that building.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, I guess my point is this shouldn't wait till after we're in the building. This needs to be designed when we're designing the building, and that's the time to install
what we're
it.
doing.
That's when it's
Yep.
cheaper to do.
Yep.
And, perhaps, one of the things that we might look at is getting some estimates from, I forget who you had mentioned, Martin.
Omni.
Omni,
Yeah, they're local.
as to what it might cost, and we can decide at that point whether or not it's even worthwhile to pursue in the new building.
I've actually already been in discussions with Omni.
Okay.
on similar type, or on this same topic.
All right, so Martin, do you have, I mean, it sounds like we sort of all agree, kind of, let's figure out what this would cost, what we would, but if we can get in there and figure it out, fine, but not do anything until we closer into the building. Is that what I'm hearing, or am I not hearing that? Yeah, Jerry?
One final comment, I just thought, September 30th, that would give time to get an estimate ready for the 2021 budget.
Well, we have
that money, Jerry,
So
too,
the
we
money has
borrowed.
already been borrowed and
Yeah.
everything and allocated
So it's
for.
gonna be out of our funds, okay.
Yeah, for the renovation. We don't know what the renovation will cost yet until we get working with the architects, but part of the renovation cost will include some allowances, and we'll be getting some bids from communication companies such as Omni or J&K or any, there's a couple of them out there that do all this integration. And we'll be looking at all of those.
So Jeff, can we get in the, I mean, it's our building, can we go in there now and kind of start, or not, or we can't do anything until we're actually in there?
We own the building.
Yeah.
So we can, but there's, most of the building is still being actively used. We have 2 tenants that'll continue to use the building. But the bank is still actively using the main floor as well as the second floor. And so we've taken some tours and gone through to kind of show staff and folks and one of the architects that we've been working with, the space. But
So Jeff, what would you recommend? When can we start to see what we possibly need
we're doing that right now.
in the building?
Well, we're doing that as far as, we are evaluating and working up what we want to see for systems in the new building. And that's kind of like what I was talking to
Okay.
you about. It includes even everything
Includes all
from
this.
like,
Okay.
where we'll put these types of screens, what kind of connectivity will we have, where will that be routed to, how will the dais, is that the right term? Be established for the board and staff. So we're actually working towards those solutions right now.
All right. And just Jerry, your point about the money, we've already borrowed the money for the building, and so the money is already there for us to
I
sort
just
of.
didn't know if it was earmarked for.
It is,
Yeah.
that's all part of it,
No, but
including.
I mean, I didn't know if you'd already spent it.
We bought a truck.
Yeah.
No,
I won't
no,
let him
that.
spend it.
Huh? Lisa wouldn't allow us
No.
to do that, yeah.
Amanda?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we also involve, like, Paul, the OCA Media. I mean,
Absolutely, yep.
In addition to Omni, because they're the one, Dan has been doing the covering board meetings. People who are gonna use the equipment should be involved as well as the
Oh,
people
absolutely.
who sell
Yeah.
it and install
All
it.
right, does it sound to everybody like we're going in the right direction?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, something else?
Oh, I was just gonna say, are we also gonna discuss the policy that was in here, the draft ordinance? Because I want to talk about that too, but
For the hype,
for the hybrid meetings,
Hybrid?
because it would be nice if we had that in place before we had the equipment even, so we're ready to go.
so Martin, can we do that? Because it doesn't say motion or anything.
What does the agenda say? It's just discussion?
Says board meeting policy, so
Yeah.
it's,
So I think discussion is fine. We're not in a position to actually approve anything
Right,
tonight.
right.
But I think if the board wants to direct staff to come back to you with more refined either ordinance changes to allow for hybrid meetings or what have you, or policy documents that would speak to how, from a technical or from a procedural standpoint, how you handle these meetings, you could give us the feedback tonight and the direction that would allow us to keep working on that and then bring that back to you.
right,
Okay.
because I took notes. I
Yeah.
have a bunch of things here.
Can I assume that's kind of where we're headed? What we like staff to do is to continue to develop this? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Martin,
Yeah.
you're good? Matt, what else?
Well, did Amanda have specific items you
Yes,
wanted
I
to?
have
yeah.
You wanna-
specific
yeah?
list of
Yeah.
things
Go
that I
ahead.
think,
I'm ready
and
to take
I-
notes here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
She
was
has
just,
them in notes.
I
She's
was,
handing to you.
That's fine too.
Well,
so I like this, the draft ordinance for discussion that was in the packet.
Okay.
That's a really great
Yep.
starting point, and a
Yep.
lot of things were taken into account, but
Yep.
I just think it probably, some tweaking, I just found some things. Under, let's see, where I numbered them all here. Was it the login? You had, and Matt, I assume you drafted this?
Yeah.
Okay. In the login information, you talked about signing in and signing out. It was under 4C in the draft.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, when you say sign in and sign out, do you just mean like appearing in the meeting? Or are you talking about some sort of official, like, hey, I'm here, or hey, I'm leaving? Like, I didn't know what you meant by signing in and out if you're virtual.
Yeah, I think the expectation here is that, and this may have to be adjusted depending on which service you use and how it works.
Okay.
But I think the expectation is that when you are logging into a meeting that you're appearing at virtually, that there will be a process that you can use to, type your name in or what have you, so that when the list, so that the chair running the meeting, for example, will be able to pull up a list of participants and know
Right.
who's here. And that would include not only members of the board, but so that we will be able to see who is actually participating.
So if somebody were to turn off their camera and step away for a minute, they're still signed in, but they're not there, like, I mean,
Yeah.
did signing out mean you have to leave the meeting entirely?
Yeah, so that's a separate issue, and I think the policy speaks elsewhere to this question of whether you must leave your camera on or
Right.
not. And actually, in one of my other communities, they spent a lot of time discussing that issue. And their ultimate conclusion was they want, if you are a trustee attending a meeting virtually, your camera must be on the whole time. You're not allowed to turn it off. And that's a different issue than the sign in, sign out. Because yes, you can be
Get up
signed in and
and walk
appear that
away.
you're there, but you can turn off your camera and, I don't know, go make dinner or something, I guess.
Or leave your camera on and go make dinner? I mean,
That too,
like,
and apparently
right,
that's
so-
allowed, it's just everyone has to be able to watch.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, okay, I just wanted
So
some.
It looks like that's addressed in the quorum calls part of it.
It is, that's, I was saying, does having a video connection require having the camera on? That was my question there, because it says, that they've signed in, and that, I gotta reread it here real quick, that, if they've signed into the internet meeting service using their full legal name, and they have the audio and video connection to the meeting, but that doesn't mean that the camera's on, it's just a video connection.
Yep.
So that was another where I was like, we should probably spell that out, what that means.
Yeah, and here's my thought. I would love it if, once we have a little clear understanding of what service you're gonna use and how it's gonna work, if we could have a committee meeting to focus on some of these specific details.
Yeah.
I'll have to confess, I'm not like a technology person, so I struggle a bit on understanding some of the finer distinctions here between, the distinction between, yeah, you're connected, but your video's off, what does that mean? My thought, it's kind of up to you, and Amanda, if you want to send me an email with your particular technical suggestions, I can also look at those, and if I understand what's going on with those suggestions, I can make some adjustments to this as well. So I see this as kind of a work in process.
Yeah, absolutely. One of these was kind of a question for you, so maybe I could
Okay.
get clarification while we're still in the meeting,
Okay.
if that's all right. Number 8.
Yeah.
So you had talked about having people use the raise hand function. Like, for example, in Zoom, there's the little blue raise hand function. That makes sense.
Yep.
And then you had put in here, upon assigning the floor to a member the presiding officer shall clear the online queue of members who had been seeking recognition. And I didn't know what the purpose of that was. Like, because when you use raise hand, for example, in Zoom, and granted, this will depend on what provider we use, it does queue up people in the order they raise their hand.
Yep.
But, so are you talking about clearing that out and then starting over?
I think that's the idea, and that may not be the best way to proceed. The other thing is another community that has been looking at this same issue. Their feeling was that the experience they had during COVID was such that it was fine for people to just raise their hand, not have to use the raise hand function.
Right.
And they asked me to change this language to create a little more informality and to allow both, like, the way they wanted it was either use the raise hand function or just raise your hand. Either way would be acceptable to seek recognition. Now, there's a technology question here. Is the chair going to be able to see
Yeah, I
both
would,
the
I would,
people in the room and the
from,
people
from
in
my
the-
perspective, I would rather, like, Amanda, you raise your hand, because I'm watching the screens. Otherwise, I gotta look at the raise hand and then try to do the agenda. And we've done it in the past in Zoom when people just raised. That's easier for me. It's just less things I have to sort of take care of, for me, anyway.
So, oh,
Can
go
I
ahead,
interject
Carl.
here? So in a hybrid meeting, I've seen it where the chair monitors the people in the room, and then somebody else monitors the hand raising, and then there's literally a stack.
And then
in-
they just tell me.
And then they just tell
Yeah.
you, so that you're not having to do both.
Yeah, because you're trying to take care of the agenda
Right,
and all
and
that.
that, it just
yeah.
becomes overwhelming,
Yeah.
and so that gets assigned to somebody else
Yeah.
who monitors that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, we can talk about that. And
Yeah.
I just wanted kind of clarification on what was the purpose of clearing it out and starting over again, but
Yeah, well, I have a
That's where I
I have
was.
a confession to make, and that is that a lot of these technical rules are adapted from recommendations in the appendix to the newest edition of Robert's Rules of Order,
Gotcha.
12th edition, which came out following this pandemic experience. And they had multiple different kind of meetings that they envisioned, and they have different suggested rules depending on how you chose to structure your meetings. So what we did was we reviewed those and we pulled out the things that we thought made sense and plugged them in. But as I've been discussing this with different communities, they have been, people have been making adjustments. They're like, no, we don't like it that,
Sure.
we want to do it this other way. And so,
yeah.
Work in progress.
And then if you
Yeah,
give me just 2
sure.
seconds, I just want to make sure while I have Matt, I can ask all my questions.
bet.
And then we can have a separate meeting
'Cause
to
he's going on
debate the
vacation anyway,
merits.
so-
So I just want to make sure that, oh, yeah, no, we can talk about that.
Oh, my glasses.
I think, no, I've got, yeah, I know, I'm sitting, I have glasses. No, that was good, that was, that answered at least my, oh, one more question, and maybe Matt isn't the right person for this. When we have our meetings live streamed and when they're taped or shown later for YouTube, since I've never actually watched myself on any of these meetings, do the chats show up so that people can see them?
I don't know.
I've watched the videos and the chats don't show up.
Okay,
Or at least I haven't in the past.
Okay, so I mean, some of your suggestions in here were for using the chat then might be problematic if the public can't see it, so.
and from an open meeting law standpoint, there has to be, we can't have like side conversations going on using a
Right.
private chat room, yeah. So we'll have to. figure
Okay,
that out.
anyway, that clarified that at least though, thank you.
One thing that I would like to ask you all for your input on, item 10, motion requires that members intending to make a motion or to offer an amendment or do something of that nature would, before or after being recognized, post the motion in writing. And that's probably asking too much, but I would request that if you know before a meeting that you're going to be if there's going to be something somewhat complex, and you know you're going to be proposing amendments or what have you, It's really hard to do that on the fly in meetings. So if that's something that you know you plan to do and you'd like to be prepared to do it, I mean, you can call me ahead of time or other staff and get some help so that when you come, you know, you've got it ready to go, it's written out, and you got a chance to think about it and get some input as to does that fit in with the structure, what have you. So that I think we probably wouldn't want to require you to always be ready in writing ahead of time with something like that. But when you know you're going to and it's going to be complicated, it helps to prepare ahead.
Makes sense. All right. Yeah, Mike?
But that would apply whether you're doing this in a hybrid meeting virtually or in person?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. All right, so it sounds like we have direction, or Mark? Yeah.
I think there was a comment to potentially refer this to a committee for discussion. Is that what you folks want to do?
Which committee are we thinking?
I think probably the Finance, Buildings, and Facilities Committee would be the standing committee.
We've been 3 years.
Why don't we just take it up at a board meeting? No, I mean, we're all gonna be here. We're all gonna be involved in this.
However you want to do it. Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't care what committee you want to do it at, but it's.
Then we can all hear the discussion
Right.
at the same time, and it's
But
fine
again,
with me.
it's majority rules. If you wanna do finance, I have no problem with that.
So,
But that applies to all things then. Why don't we bring them all back here?
so can,
Some places do. They have.
Amanda,
the whole.
let's hear you.
so I will happily volunteer to work out my list of questions with Matt independently, and then we can bring a draft that's a little more amenable to, I think, what a lot of us are thinking. And then we can have that as a full discussion. How about that?
Committee
It's
of
okay
one?
with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That certainly works for me, if that's okay.
Yeah,
with,
it's all right
the
with me.
board.
I'd be happy to join you because
Okay.
I brought this up to
All
begin
right.
with.
All
Okay.
right, yeah,
Oh,
that's-
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah.
As long as we don't get to a point where we've got too many of you, 2 of you is
Right.
fine.
It's
Okay.
Yeah.
just
we get
just
to
to
3, I
get a
think we might be
working
fine.
draft.
When are you leaving
That's-
town?
Thursday.
Yeah.
You're leaving
Well,
Thursday.
oh yeah,
when are you-
let's plan on doing this after I get
September?
back.
Yeah.
Like September, kind of.
Perfect.
thing.
Then
Yeah.
I'll be back too.
All right. Yeah.
All right, sounds like we have some direction. Okay, perfect. All right, let's go to 11 then, let's wrap this up. New business, none. 12, future agenda items. Anything from board members? Place new items and for business? Yep, Derek.
I was just kind of thinking with the goal setting agenda that's coming up
Yeah.
on there. I don't know if it's too late, but if I'd like to maybe get on there something about reviewing the commission terms and policies for appointment and reappointment and how we're looking at that. Because I mean, a lot of my thought when I'm sitting in on these committees, I'm finding that I'm seeing faces that I've seen for the last 20, 30 years. And how do we get increased community involvement and maybe some more voices to those tables? So I guess I'd like to add that to the goal setting, if we could.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, we're on 13, adjournment. Take a
So moved.
motion, all right. Second?
Yeah.
We're adjourned.
Randy, you're faster in person.